Here. Hey everybody, welcome back. We just finished how to identify a claim in a text or in an argumentative text, and today we're going to be starting off with audience. Now, I want you to be prepared because it's going to be a really long one. I'm just kidding, it's not going to be long at all. All right, so for audience, it is going to be the title of our next page. Again, I'm leaving my table of contents with just the argumentative text so I know what page it is. Argumentative text so I know what page it is that it starts on. And that way I can save some paper and not run out of space in my table of contents. When we talked about the characteristics of argumentative text, we said the audience is the person the text is trying to convince. So when we think about, oh, hey, this is the text that we're trying to use or trying to convince people, we need to stop and think, who is the author writing to? Who is the author writing to? And once we figure that out, or once we start answering that question, I want you to keep in mind that it can be lots of people. So it could be the whole world, or it could be one person, Miss Rogge, or it could be a few people. It could be all kinds of people. It doesn't matter. Every text is going to be different. Every argumentative text is a little different. We're going to actually look at two of these today. We're going to go back and look at don't separate us. If you don't have this written down, go ahead and pause so you can write it down, and then continue on with us into don't separate us. And we're going to go through, and this is the one where I annotated. I wrote all over it. Remember, I identified my claim, which we said was that the boys and girls should not be separated. Boys and girls should not be separated. So now I need to find out who it is that my author is writing to, who it is that my person, this Georgina Miller, Tammy Green, and Maria Rodriguez are writing to. And if I take a look at the very, very beginning, it says, Dear Principal Smith. We're writing to one specific person because Principal Smith is the one person that's mentioned in here. So up here I'm going to write audience. And that way I know who it is. And if you're following along in your paper because you printed this out, great. My audience could be Principal Smith. But I have to stop and think, you know, if I'm trying to convince people not to separate boys and girls in a school, I can write to just the principal, but who else could I write to that might have some influence with the school to keep people from separating the boys and the girls in the class? I could write this to the school board. They could write it to the superintendent. Or intendant, sorry, that should have been an E, intendant. Or they could write it to parents. So even though it's addressed specifically to Principal Smith, so I know my audience is Principal Smith, I suspect that these three girls, Georgina, Tammy, and Maria, are trying to get more than just Principal Smith to read this, to convince people to keep boys and girls together in the same class. Now this is our first article, but we're going to take a look because that one was kind of easy. All right, so that one was kind of easy, and we're going to talk about we need a nap. Now, you can see I started writing and annotating this, but we're going to go back just a little bit, and we're going to follow our procedure in order to find our claim so we know who our audience is, because without their claim, we don't know who he's writing to or she is writing to. So our first object is to find any text features, which is going to include sleep for school, not in school. So this one is saying let's not sleep in school. And then down here we have a girl reading in bed, which I've done multiple times, is reading in bed and fallen asleep, and then I'm not awake for the next morning. So right here it says, as our caption, don't read in bed after the lights are turned off, and for a few good nights sleep, don't watch television or play video games just before bedtime. Sleep tight. So sleep tips are right here. Not in school. So let's not sleep in school. That would be bad. And then we need to take a look. Our second step is to look at the title. And our title says, we need a nap. And that means that somebody needs sleep. Well, that gives me a good idea of what the topic. It's something about sleeping and school and kids and making sure you have a good night's sleep. So now I need to find out what the article's author is claiming. So I read my first paragraph. If you're having trouble paying attention in school, don't blame your teacher. The problem may be that you're not getting enough sleep. So I think the article's author's claim is that people are not getting enough sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down here so I can remember what my claim is. People are not getting enough sleep. So people are not getting enough sleep, and now we need to figure out, who is this article being written to? Who is it that's in charge of your sleep? So we're looking for our audience. Who's in charge of helping people get more sleep? Well, when I start thinking about that, I know it says right here, don't blame your teacher. So I know that the teacher can't be the person that you're talking to, because I don't have any control when you go to bed. But I do know that you can help decide when you go to bed. So the reader, or even in your case, because you live at home still, parents or guardians. And that would be pretty much the only audience that I could think of, because not a whole lot of other people are going to have control over when somebody goes to sleep. So my article, my claim is that people are not getting enough sleep. So that means that my intended audience are going to be people who are in charge of making sure that someone gets enough sleep, which can be you, the reader, or in your case, also parents or guardians, somebody who's in charge of you that you live with that can decide, hey, it's bedtime. As always, if you need to, go ahead and press pause so you can catch up and be ready to discuss this in class.